Everyone in Reindeer Games is stupid.
I envy Rudolph for never being able to join in any Reindeer Games.
The ho-hum thrills and coincidental mystery will leave you shrugging with indifference on the way out the door.
Too much yada 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 and not enough rat-a-tat-tat.
A blatantly gimmicky action thriller.
Ho, ho, horrible.
A contrived, cliche-riddled yawner.
At times, Reindeer Games looks as if it was directed by Frankenstein, not Frankenheimer. You want to kill it, you want to run away.
Reindeer Games is too tricky to let the audience join the fun. Welcome to this week's episode of Slept On Cinema. I'm your host, Stan Steamer.
And I'm Grove Street.
This week we are getting into the year 2000 holiday thriller noir classic. I feel like this fits into a whole bunch of different categories.
It could be noir. Some say it isn't, but it feels a little noir.
Whatever it is, it's fantastic. Reindeer Games is this week's movie.
Raise your hand if you enjoyed this movie.
Oh, this movie kicks ass. It was one of these things I hadn't seen it in a really long time, and you're always a little bit nervous when you're like, is this actually good, or was it good when I first watched it and I don't really remember anymore? But this movie was awesome.
So many of these movies were a little like, there's a little trepidation because we're not quite sure if we remember things correctly from 20 years ago. This was like such a fun. We did some horror movies last year for Christmas season, and it's so fun to do like a action thriller heisty movie for Christmas. This was phenomenal.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. It was just a lot of fun. I'm excited for all our viewers to dip in their toes here. As always, this and all the movies that we review on our podcast are at or below 50% on Rotten Tomatoes for critics and audiences. And we structure the podcast so that the first half is spoiler free, talk about some things to look for in the film, take a break, go watch the film, come back and talk about what we just watched.
We will make a point not to spoil anything because there's some fun things you could spoil.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is that type of movie that, although it is surprising, it's one of these movies that obviously there are some twists and turns that you might not see coming, and that's a lot of the fun of it. But even watching it multiple times, it's still really fun to watch.
I just can't we'll go over it in a little bit, of course, but the ratings are clearly poor. That's why it's on this podcast. But like a Christmas movie that you just want to have a little bit of action. You've already watched Die Hard a couple of times and you're thirsting for a little bit more. It's mid-December. Like, this is the perfect movie to put on a week or two before Christmas and just have a great night.
Totally.
Want to get to the premise?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Rotten premise. Just released from prison, all Rudy Duncan wants is to start a new life with Ashley, the girl of his dreams, who he met through pen pal letters in prison. But between them and happiness stands her crazy brother Gabriel and his motley crew of deadly criminals who think Rudy has some inside information about a casino where he once had a job. A casino Gabriel and his short-fused posse plan to take down. Critics 25%, audience 27%. I cut and pasted this and just read this for the first time, and this is hilarious. Because
I would not say that that's an accurate description of this movie.
It does not seem like the correct premise of this movie, but it's fun nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely confuses a few points early on.
Yeah, it's missing out on some things, but you'll see on the other side when we get there. Remember, no spoilers, so we won't tell you what's iffy right now.
That's just I like to think that whoever wrote that, because this movie does have so many twists and turns, was getting in on the action and just kind of putting a little deceit in the description on Rotten Tomatoes.
Right, yeah, a little noir in the premise.
So this movie came out February 25th, the year 2000. It opened number 3. It took an $8.1 million its opening weekend, behind The Whole Nine Yards and Snow Day. I don't think I've seen Snow Day, but I do remember enjoying The Whole Nine Yards.
I mean, I think Snow Day is the Cuba Gooding Jr. vehicle, and I watched that many times in summer camp. It's quite enjoyable.
All right, I got to put that on the list.
Not as good as this, yeah.
Ended up taking in only $32 million worldwide on a $42 million budget. So this is one of the rare instances where this film really, I guess, just for whatever reason, didn't do well. I'm sure it's cleaned up on streaming and all that stuff. I don't know how this works, but for sure someone's made money somehow on this, but not in the box office.
I think Role Models might have made money off of this game, off of this movie.
Yes. And just a little sort of interesting tidbit that goes along with this film. So Vin Diesel had a two-picture deal with Miramax, and he was supposed to play Pug in this movie. And he signed up. He was on set. They were getting ready to shoot this. And Danny Trejo was talking to Vin Diesel and sort of saying, they were talking about it. Vin was sort of like, I signed up to do this. I agreed to do this, but I'm not really feeling this role. The role was supposed to be expanded. He sort of plays one of the, I don't know, maybe henchmen, I guess is sort of the closest word.
The least henchman, I would say.
Yeah. And so that role was supposed to be expanded on in the script, and it just never was. He wasn't really happy with it. He sort of thought this didn't really fit him as an actor. But he said, I agreed to do this. And Trejo said, look, if this isn't right, it's not going to be right for the movie. If it's not right for you, you just go talk to the director. No one's going to be mad about this if this isn't right. People will be mad about it if it's halfway through the shooting and you start bringing this up. So go figure this out now. And Vin decides to walk away from the role. Instead, he then goes on to shoot the first Fast and the Furious movie. So a serious sliding doors moment right here in Reindeer Games.
It's fun. Like, this is a great movie, but also so great that he, like, win-win. Great that he wasn't a little bit part in this, and great that he started the whole franchise, which I'm not sure where the Fast and the Furious franchise lies in your allegiance, if it's 1 or 2. Where, if you had to rank Indiana Jones or Fast and the Furious, where are you? I
can't compare them. They're incomparable. They're both obviously right neck and neck up there, and it's like having, you can't rank your children. I love them both equally.
We'll see. We've got a couple on the way, so
That's true. I guess maybe we can rank children. I guess we'll find out. But I've heard that it's tough to rank your children.
I've heard that as well.
So that's all I got for background. This sort of, I feel like, as we've alluded to, this is one of these movies that kind of the less you know, the better. Just go in and have a good time.
I can't wait to get to these. Let's go to Bolos. Be on the lookouts.
So many fun bolos. I'm going to say Bolo Holiday Jello.
Bolo Monsters.
Yep. And Bolo, a very expensive fleece, especially for the year 2000.
Bolo, a pair of aces. Not smoking, I don't think.
I don't think so. I'll say Bolo, the split diopter shot. We've done Brian De Palma movies in the past, and obviously I feel like the split diopter just makes me think of De Palma. So whenever I see that, I think De Palma. And this is clearly an homage to De Palma by the usage, the extreme usage of the split diopter in this film.
Absolutely. That is his hook shot. It's like Kareem's.
Oh, yeah.
I just associate it with him. I think I brought this, I don't know if this has come up before or not, but Bolo, a barbed wire tattoo. Forgive me if I'm saying this again, but I do have a buddy who I grew up with, very close friend of mine, who at the time, around 2000, when he was in high school, tried to get a barbed wire tattoo, but it was a little painful or he didn't have enough money. I don't know which it was. And he only got half of it. Not half of it. It's all across his bicep. But he was like 17 at that time, and now he's 40. And so now it covers, he didn't go back for it. Now it covers like he's not fat or anything, but it's still, it covers a quarter of his arm at this point.
Does he have any plans to finish the job?
Nope. We asked him that for a long time. And then it was just like, whatever, I'm married, I got kids, whatever. But it was just like an incomplete barbed wire tattoo. But seeing this barbed wire tattoo was just like, oh yeah, it's a time where everyone, guy or girl, was just getting barbed wire tattoos. He should
complete it with like other pieces of wire. Like he should have little segments. We got some barbed wire, we got some speaker wire, we got some I don't even know what electrical wires. Like
that would make sense.
Just wires.
You can't use the original wire. I'm sure.
Right. Yeah, because if you try to match it, that's not going to look good. But if you just say, I don't know, give me some picture wire or whatever, there's got to be some more interesting wires out there.
Way better wife.
Yeah, but back to the movie. The tattoos in this are fantastic. You see,
You could have just said tattoos.
yeah, because they're great. I'm gonna go Bolo some fake cinder block walls. It's an interesting design choice.
Very, very interesting. Bolo on the listen out for whistling.
Yes. Let's say Bolo some darts.
Bolo characters' names. They might have a more meaningful Christmas meaning.
Absolutely. I'm going to say Bolo a massive CVS-like receipt.
Bolo Isaac Hayes or Chef from South Park.
Yeah, it's great to see him in this, and hear him in this as well. All-time voice. And I'll follow that up with Bolo Ashton Kutcher. Fantastic cameo here.
So good. Bolo, Ben Affleck's faces. Just enjoy them.
His reactions are priceless every single time. And I'm going to go one more actor Bolo here. Bolo Ron Jeremy.
Did you see it? I saw he was in the credits. Did you see him actually?
It's early, so it's early. Pay attention.
I looked and I missed. I got to look at it. I got to watch it again. Bolo, the title line.
Very satisfying when it comes around.
One of the most satisfying title line usages.
Yes.
Hot tub time machine. Just like sit on the edge of your seat and wait for the title line.
Yes. You won't be disappointed. I would say Bolo, a cutoff sweatshirt. It's kind of a Bill Belichick-esque look.
Bolo, Samson Simpson, Cuban B.
I'll go Bolo, a timely newscast. Always a favorite on this pod.
Oh, man, I have a ton. Bolo, Chekhov's rum.
I feel like that's just a great pun there, too. Just the way it sounds.
It sounds great.
I'll go Bolo, leftovers.
Bolo, a sexual chimney reference that I haven't heard many times before.
This was my first. I'm going to say Bolo, this ties to our newest category, but Bolo, a bumper sticker.
Oh, yep. I almost chose that as my Bolo. I mean, my bumper sticker, but obviously I didn't. Bolo, a height disparity between actors.
Good one. It's always fun to see how they manage that.
They hide it for a while, but not the whole movie.
Yep. All right, I could go on for. I'm just going to throw my last one out here. Just Bolo 5 Santas.
Oh man, I have so many more.
You could just rattle some off.
Okay, cool. All right, do a couple. Bolo, other rules besides number 1 could be hard to find. Bolo, clearing an unfinished beer at a casino. Awful. Just wait for it. There's a beer that is not done, and they just come along and clear it.
Terrible.
Bolo mouthing words, and Bolo talking while a gun is at someone's head. Quite casual in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing that you won't see. Bolo, something you won't see. People breathing in the cold, snowy air. You will not see their breaths.
It's a very detailed observation there. People, they must have had a lot. They all drank something cold.
Yes, that's probably what it was. Speaking of drinking something possibly cold, what drink would you pair with this movie?
This is one of these movies. I think, sometimes we get a little cerebral. Sometimes we get real creative. There were just so many opportunities for just a literal drink that's in this movie that I think would go great. And I had to take one of them. And it's just find yourself a water gun, fill it up with some rum, and just squirt it in your mouth all throughout the movie. It's just nothing better for what this movie is to do that. It's the perfect way to enjoy this.
I can't believe we both had rum and a gun as both of our drinks to pair with the movie. I made it a little more sad, I think. I wrote, when I was watching it, I said, rum and a squirt gun. I was going to say, like, if you're divorced or whatever, just grab a kid's old squirt gun, be really sad, sit down on the couch and maybe pull like your shirt up over your belly and like lean with an awful haunch. And then like some holiday candles and have some like too many sugar cookies that end up on your shirt and overexposed belly.
Yep. Lots
and
of crumbs.
Like, every few minutes, just like squirt some of that rum as you lean back into your mouth. It gets on your chin or beard.
It's a terrifying visual, but I think that'd be the perfect way to watch this film.
It's terrifying visual, but that person who looks like that is having such a great time watching Reindeer Games.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm excited for this to make at least a little bit of sense to you. So enjoy the movie. We'll see you on the other side.
Enjoy.
We walk out of here. What's the first thing you're gonna do?
Go out and get myself a mug of hot chocolate.
A piece of pecan pie there, right?
Right.
He was a reformed ex-con who wanted to start a new life.
You, Ashley?
I've been dreaming about that smile for so long.
She was the girl of his dreams. But between them and happiness stands a team of criminals who wanted to take down the state's richest casino. What started out as love.
Do you remember all those letters you wrote me about me and you against the whole world? We can have it all if you just give him what he wants.
Could end up in murder.
What did you think's gonna happen? This thing's gonna be over? He's just gonna let me go? He's gonna shoot me in the back of the head like this!
Ben Affleck, Gary Sinise, Charlize Theron. In the new thriller from John Frankenheimer, Reindeer Games.
Slept On Cinema is brought to you by Training Ties, the ultimate shoe tying tool. If you know anyone who's struggling with shoe tying, Training Ties is the perfect solution. Or if you know anyone who just doesn't like tying their shoes, Training Ties keeps shoes tied all day long. Say no to Velcro and yes to independence with Training Ties.
Welcome back.
Merry Christmas.
That movie was just fantastic.
I feel like I can't believe it's been so long since I've been watching this with all those wasted Christmases along the way that I have not watched this movie. And I think now that this became a movie on the podcast, this is now going to be an annual movie to watch because I don't know why I would ever let a Christmas go by and not watch Reindeer Games.
Yeah, I don't get why it's not tossed around. People are talking about the great Christmas movies. Like, literally no one ever talks about this film.
I think it's like when a movie's a flop, people think like it's terrible, whether it be, we've done some of these, but like Last Action Hero or what are some other ones like Waterworld or this, like, oh, wow, or Geely. I haven't actually, Geely isn't that good, but the rest of them are good. But once it's a flop, people are just like, oh, it's not good. No, it didn't make a bunch of money, but it is still a good movie if you look for the right things.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, that's right. It gets sort of tagged as this just not good movie and people don't give it a chance. But
yeah, there's plenty of movies that make money that are terrible. Some don't make money, and
this movie's good. It has an amazing cast. The plot's great. What more could you ask for?
The cast is crazy, and just I think when you make one of these movies that's a Christmas or a Halloween or I guess there's a Thanksgiving horror this year, like it just comes back every year. I don't know. We were like we keep talking about like these little things we would do for a movie if we made it. I think you have to add. It doesn't have to be Christmas, but just a time of year.
Yes,
it doesn't matter. So that every year it becomes relevant again.
Oh yeah, I mean, if I were in charge, I would be putting out every holiday would have a movie. It's St. Patrick's Day. Look, you got a St. Patrick's Day horror movie. It's
Flag Day. Flag Day is the
Flag Day. Definitely. There's so many horror movies that could be about Flag Day.
A new Groundhog's Day that overtakes the other one that's more horrific. That sounds great. Yeah, let's do it for all the holidays.
Yeah, then you start people debating which is the best Groundhog Day movie.
That's insane. I mean, pretty clear right now. All right, let's get to it. The draft, and you have, as always, when there's no guest, the first pick.
So this is one that we were talking about this earlier, that it's a movie I have so many things to choose from, and I didn't really think there was a first overall pick, but the more I'm thinking about it, I think there actually is. And some people didn't like this about the movie, at least in some of the reviews, but I love a good twist ending. I just eat the twist ending up. And this was a great twist ending. It was one of these twists that you didn't totally see coming, and I think that's what some people complained about. But it made so many earlier parts of the movie actually make sense in a way that maybe you didn't see this exact twist coming, but you knew there had to be something. It sort of explained why Charlize Theron's character was so willing to go along with all this stuff. And it explained that you're like, wow, it's like, are people this dumb? Like, what's going on? And this, when you see the reveal, everything starts to fit together in a way that if you're just watching the movie like people do, critiquing things, like this would never happen, this would never happen. And you get to the end, it all comes together because of this amazing twist ending.
It comes together perfectly, and I think people get annoyed when there's a twist ending that they couldn't have figured out themselves. They hate that there were no breadcrumbs. Like, there was no little signs that, like, maybe Nick is still alive. Like, there was nothing. He was just dead, and that was it. So I think it's frustrating for some people to be like, well, how was I supposed to know this twist ending was coming? There was not, even in Sixth Sense, you can see some things. When you go back and rewatch it, we're like, oh, I should have seen that. There's none of that in this, and I don't think it matters.
I think there's very subtly. I do think just the degree to which she goes along with him not being Nick.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yes, it's like because you're watching, you're like, this is ridiculous. Like this is so obvious, but then you start to understand why she's going along with it because that was the whole plan from the beginning.
Yeah, it does, like, without that twist ending, you'd be like, what is wrong with her? At the end, you go, oh, okay. Maybe not the best plan, but at least it makes sense. That's a good one. I'm going to go, and I'm going to try this year. I'm going to use this during the holiday times, but I'm going to pick the soundtrack. I just find it very funny. Yeah. Like, the soundtrack is just a hit list of amazing Christmas songs. We've got, like, Silver Bells and Let It Snow and Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, Joy to the World, a version of the Love Roller Coaster that's not by Red Hot Chili Peppers, and that was a nice touch.
Yeah, the OG sample.
Yeah, exactly. The Little Drummer Boy, of course, many times. Jingle Bells. It was just like, I feel like I can play this soundtrack around my house around the holidays when we're like just decorating the tree.
I completely agree. The versions they choose of the songs too are all excellent, really excellent. I thought the exact same thing. I looked up the soundtrack and I was like, I don't need to go to Spotify and get whatever Christmas soundtrack. I'm just going to put Reindeer Games soundtrack on and people will be like, this is the greatest Christmas playlist ever. I'm like, I know, it's Reindeer Games.
Yeah, it's not a list. It's a soundtrack from Reindeer Games. What's that movie? Go check. And now all of a sudden they have two things that they now enjoy they didn't know of.
Yeah. That's a great thing.
So I got to go with the soundtrack. And then I've been on too big of a run of picking people in actors in movies, and I'm going to stay away from that. But I am going to take a type of person, which is Scary Sinise. I feel like Sinise could have had he's had an amazing career and obviously does all of his Criminal Minds and CSI stuff later on in his career. But he is an incredible villain. And I feel like
so good.
I feel like he could have been like, it's like not untapped completely, but he's so good at like going both ways. Like, remember we Ransom, he was a villain, but he also had a heart too, and he can just kind of play both sides. Same thing with Lieutenant Dan. He's like an asshole, but also like a great heart, and he's got PTSD. He can kind of just play both sides and be so menacing. But between this and we also had him before as, you remember the other evil Gary Sinise of our movie history?
It's not coming to mind.
All right, nice. I'm glad. Snake Eyes.
Oh, of course.
Of course. You just brought up Brian De Palma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. And even that, he comes from like a moral background of being like a great soldier. And in this is like a very different him where he's just like, I'm a bad guy, I'm a trucker, whatever. But he's just like from that first moment when there's like Ben Affleck comes in the room after Charlize Theron like goes to tell them we're going to be in the room to the end of the year, and he gets hit with a bat and those guys are hitting him, and then he just cocks his gun and everyone just stops like, I think we have evil Gary Sinise in the room. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, I mean, he runs a tight ship on that crew.
Yeah, he does.
And he's an amazing actor. Like I don't get why people don't talk about Gary Sinise as being one of the greatest actors we have.
I don't either.
Because every single movie he's in, he owns the screen.
Do you think Forrest Gump would be as like, I know Tom Hanks won the award and everything, but if Gary Sinise wasn't in it, would it be?
Chance.
No chance.
No
right?
chance.
Lieutenant Dan is like one of the biggest parts of the movie.
Absolutely. He's one of the most iconic characters we have in cinema.
Yeah, but not enough evil Sinise. If you haven't seen Evil Sinise, check out Snake Eyes, check out Ransom. And I don't know of any other ones. He was kind of weird in Apollo 13, but I don't know.
Yeah, those are two great picks that you took them right off my board. I mean, those were phenomenal picks.
Nice.
I'm gonna roll it right back with another actor. I feel like you gave me the chance here to take some more actors, and I'm going Dennis Farina.
Oh, that's a great one.
He's another one of these guys that every single time he shows up in a movie, you know he's gonna kill it, and it always means that it's a good movie. Like I feel like I've never seen a bad movie that Dennis Farina was in ever.
He's Jack Bangs in this. If you don't know who we're talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
His characters are just they're always a little bit. There's a common thread of Dennis Farina that runs through all of his characters. It's sort of he's kind of a wise guy. He's kind of always like maybe a little washed up, but he just plays this. He plays his character here so well.
I thought there was like a 20% chance that your info coming into the movie was gonna be about him.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure, but do you know? I don't know much about his past except for. Did you know that he was a Chicago detective until like he retired?
Yeah, he's had a life.
He had a whole life before he started acting, and that's so incredible to me.
That's awesome, and you could tell like there's just something very. I don't know. It's like he's like seen things.
Yeah, it's like a confidence. Like I get this. All right,
yeah.
I get the scene. Yeah, I've been there before. I'm not playing. I'll just go back to that time. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's definitely like a confidence for him. So that's a great pick.
For my last regular pick, and I have to take this every single time this shows up in a movie, is the extra detail that gives somebody away. And this one, it's obviously at the high point of the film when things are really turning and us as the audience is starting to figure out what's going on. But when Ashley lets slip about the getting shanked in prison, how did you know it was shanked? How did you know it? I never said he was shanked. And then they have the whole back and forth with her and Affleck about what detail was said or wasn't said. And you get a great Affleck reaction, face reaction there. You get just the whole extra detail, and that's where everything turns.
That's like I literally have that down in my notes because I know you like this so much. Going back to and I love when things go back to the reason we started this podcast, which is the net.
Oh yeah.
The first moment where like somebody lets something slip that they shouldn't, and the other person's like, wait a second,
mm-hmm.
I see things as a clear picture. So I just have the dialogue from the scene, and it's Ashley going, hey, don't get all noble on me, Rudy. Guy takes a shit for you and you go chasing his girlfriend? And then Ben Affleck goes, wait, you said guy takes a shiv for you? I never said it was a shiv. How'd you know it was a shiv? So like, that's one of those like, wait, you gave too much info away.
So good.
I knew you were going to talk about it. But I thought I could bring it up to you because I knew it would be like definitely on your radar.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a must have. If you're going to really have a great thriller movie, you have to have that scene.
And going back to our first movie, The Net, it's a reward, I think, for the audience for being a close, like not
mm-hmm.
a phone watcher. If you're on your phone watching, you'd be like, oh, what is that? But if you're watching the movie, that's a reward for you to be like, wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
He never said that he got shivved. He didn't say any of that stuff. How do you know that?
Yeah, absolutely. It rewards people like us and all of our listeners.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great pick. All right. I think I'm just going to take... I don't know which. I have two things to pick. I don't know which one's going to be a sleeper, but I'm going to choose for my third pick just how awful, but also believable that casino was that they robbed.
Oh yeah,
so funny in the 2000s, like the early 2000s, before like casinos outside of Vegas were a thing. They would just be these weird buildings in different states. I've driven across the country a couple times. Stayed in different places. They're like, sometimes you go to like an OT off-track betting place and you're like, what am I doing here? I thought gambling could be fun. It was not. And like,
no,
these
it's
weird little huts where you're like, oh, there's a casino nearby. You're not going to Foxwoods. You're not going to the Mirage. You're not going to Caesars. If you're like in Michigan, like, oh, there's a casino nearby. That's not for fun. Those are people who think they can go there and turn 100 into like 100,000 and they just lose 100 every time. Just stay away from those places.
Yes.
The sadness of it, and your guy saying like, "Can you get rid of the snow?" Yeah, these places aren't Vegas. There's a reason you can't go there 12 months of the year. But they're so awful and sad.
They're so awful. They're so sad. You know exactly what they smell like.
Oh, yep. Before you go in, I had an awful Spirit flight that got delayed in Fort Lauderdale for like 24 hours. just because they ran out of gas or what? Eat Spirit.
Right. Who knows?
Man,
The
we
wing
just
fell off.
had this awful Motel 6, and there was a casino right next door. Well, of course.
Yeah, you're gonna go.
Three and I were like, let's try it out, and then we were like, "Don't we'll never do that again." That was an awful. I don't even want to drink. It's not. It's a weird thing. Like there's casinos that are for fun, and then there's this kind of casino, and they nailed it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Sad. Don't go there.
That's a great pick.
And what I almost picked, but will be my sleeper pick, is I can't stop laughing at it. Ben Affleck's cowboy outfit in the goatee. He's like, you're taking me to an Indian casino dressed as a cowboy? This is your idea, and you're putting a fake. I don't need this fake mustache and goatee that's going to fall off my face. But it was very just like if a child was trying to dress somebody up as a cowboy. Like, here's your outfit. This is what cowboys look like, right?
Absolutely. That's a great pick because it plays so many important roles in the film. Like it shows that these guys have no idea what they're doing. And then it has that important role with Ashton Kutcher. It just does so much with this one little outfit.
The only thing these band of truckers seem to bring is bats and costumes.
Yeah.
It's nice. We get Santa costumes and you can be a cowboy if you want. Does that help?
So good. All right. My sleeper pick. And this is just a great way to get rid of things. I'm going to go with flushing things down the toilet as a means of disposing them.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything more satisfying than just throwing something in the toilet and flushing it? That is so permanently gone in a way that we almost don't have access to on a regular basis. Is there if you really want to get rid of something, you can't, you could throw it in your trash can. You could always root through the trash. You could tear it up into pieces and spread it around. You could go pick them up. You flush something down the toilet, it's gone.
We've seen movies where people take something that's ripped up by a paper shredder and they put it back together somehow.
Mm-hmm.
There's no putting it together when it's flushed down the toilet.
It's gone.
Gone.
And it's kind of amazing. I haven't really thought about it until just now, how easily we have access to this thing in all of our houses that just makes things disappear.
Yeah, just as long as it's the correct size.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I had Bolo flushing things that aren't flushable. As we were a landlord for a little bit, and it's you got to fix someone's toilet, and you're like, what the heck did you flush down here?
Yep, it's probably someone who saw this.
It was your ID. Were you trying to pretend to be somebody else again? That's a good one. Love that. Oh, all right. So we're on to our superlative, which you picked this week, which is, I think, favorite thing to show it's Christmas.
Yeah, sort of favorite sign that this is a Christmas movie.
Yep. Favorite sign that's a Christmas movie, and mine's going to be quick. I'm just going to go with the opening of Five Dead Santas.
It's a great opening because it's so mysterious, and you just want to know what happens. Yeah. And it's also such a you don't see dead Santas.
No.
It's just not something you see.
Nope.
So it really just hits you over the head. It's great.
Yeah, and they're smoking and destroyed, and there's huge gunshot wounds.
Mm-hmm.
You just have no idea what's going on. So yeah, the Five Dead Santas. I mean, there's no time in which there'd be 5 people dressed up in the winter and dressed as Santas, and it's not Christmas, I would think, in a movie.
That's a great pick. My pick is the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack, the mixing in all those Christmas songs was just perfect and makes it fun for this type of movie to still have that element in it. I know we talked about that already. So I'll also just toss in that, and this came up in the Bolo too, the name Rudy. That's just a great little touch.
Yeah, we have Rudolph, we have Nick, and we have Gabriel. If you're, I feel like Gabriel's a little, a side character, but clearly Nick and Rudolph are the two main characters, and Rudy is perfect.
Yeah, just a real smart little. It's almost like a wink from the filmmaker to the audience there.
Yeah, absolutely. Newest category, bumper sticker.
Yeah, and this was very exciting to have.
Very exciting.
Not just a bumper sticker in the film, but a bumper sticker that was an important part of the moving the plot forward.
Yeah.
It was great to see.
So
it's almost like we planned it. So what do you have?
I was hoping to go second.
All right, I could kick this off.
I got 2 choices, so I just want to make sure you don't choose one of them. I'm going to say that either way.
All right. I sort of got two choices, and one was the first thing because it sort of makes sense, but I really gonna go with my gut on this one. It's I never fuck the wrong guy.
I mean, you have sex with all of them, but
But I think that's just obviously in the movie it's an important line because it shows that Charlize's character, who goes by a handful of different names, she's the one person that was really in control this whole time. There's a bunch of idiots doing dumb things, and she has sex with a bunch of different people, but it's always for a purpose. Like she uses this whole movie, there's a lot of sexuality in this film, but it's always you see at the end how purposeful she is in using her sexuality to achieve specific ends. And that one line I feel like really drives that point home. Yeah. So it's like a really crucial thing for the movie. But then I can also just see it on a bumper sticker. You put that on the back of some just like sick sports car. That's just an awesome thing to have on the back of your car.
Awesome. Yep. That's really good. And it's so funny because she has sex with like 3 guys in this movie, and it's like, oh, did you mess up and have sex? Nope. Never have sex with the wrong guy. It's cool. Was that your one you picked, or the one you?
That was what my gut told me to go with, so I went with it.
Can you give us the one you didn't?
My other one, which is kind of would be a funny thing to put on your car, was never put a car thief behind the wheel. It seems like maybe that's a bit of a risky thing. I feel like you're going to get yourself pulled over a fair amount, but it's fitting.
I have. I'm going to go 2 quick honorable mentions that I didn't pick. Go to the one that I did, but. I like I had better sex in prison, which is really gross when he says it in this. Small guy prison there, and I don't think he leans that way, but that was supposed to be a dig at her. But very funny. Just if that's a bumper sticker, I feel like that's a car I don't know, I might want to avoid. And around Christmas time, if you slap on a bumper sticker in the back of your car and it says don't play no reindeer games with me, I feel like that's a good driving in traffic, like don't try to mess with me, buddy.
There should be seasonal bumper stickers that you can take off and change.
They always leave such a little sticky.
Yeah, they need to like talk to the Post-it people and figure out some happy medium.
It comes off and on. So I'm not picking those 2, but I like this because it's a little covert and it feels like it's very proud, but it's also a little yucky. If only Ma and Pop could see us now.
Yep. That's a great one.
It's like, oh, that's great, but unless you know where it comes from, and then you go, oh, that's not that's not what I was hoping for. That's not the feeling I wanted. And we move on to one change to be a blockbuster.
This one for me seems so obvious, and I don't know if our listeners picked up on this in the background segment in the first half. This movie came out in February. What are you doing releasing a Christmas movie in February? By February, Christmas has been gone forever.
And people hate it.
Yeah, at that point, it's like people are just looking forward to spring. Why you would release this in February makes absolutely no sense to me. This movie needs to come out Thanksgiving at the latest.
Absolutely. And if it's like there was a timeline issue, you have to push it back, then you just got to
wait a year.
Yeah. I mean, that was mine too. It's just the worst time to release this movie. Well, I mean,
it makes no sense.
I don't understand how it makes sense to put out a movie this big after Christmas. Yeah, that's my one change too. A couple little notes I had. I don't want to be negative. Ben Affleck, how do you think he did in this role? You loved it?
I mean, it's tough. I think you probably could have put someone else that could have done better. But he was also sort of supposed to play a guy, it seemed, that was in over his head and didn't really know what was going on. And in that sense, he nailed it.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's his fault at all. But maybe get to the casino sooner. I think a lot of people had problems with how long it took to see.
I agree.
See Nick, is he not? And then an hour and 10 minutes goes by and you're like, wait, is there a heist at some point here?
Yeah, it took a little bit too long to get things in gear. We were watching this, my wife and her sister left before we even got to the casino. She gave up.
Yeah.
So
drama? I don't get.
Yeah. And I get the need to lay down the characters and all that kind of stuff, but I think they could have just done that a little bit faster. It would have been
absolutely faster,
better all around.
And if maybe a little more Danny Trejo. We got a little bit of his great business mind, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's always fantastic in all of his roles. So you'd think that they could have done a little bit more, given him more. And my guess is they probably intended to, like they intended to beef up Vin Diesel role that he ended up not playing. I bet they had thought to put more there, but just didn't have time. I mean, clearly there were timing issues if this came out so late.
Right. Is this our second Trejo movie? I know we had him in Anaconda. I'm not sure if there's another one.
I think it's just 2, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be more. Do you got any spin-off ideas?
So my spin-off, and this is just because of how great it was to see a Christmas heist and thriller with Santas. I just want like an anthology series where every Christmas you come out with a new heist thriller movie that involves Santas. You just come out with a new one every year, and it could be a thing. And everyone loves heist movies. Everybody likes Christmas movies. Just have a annual Santa heist movie. Just run it back every year.
We're calling it Reindeer Games in the year 2022, 2023.
You certainly could.
I think that's a phenomenal idea. It could even be topical. Whatever is like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, let's go steal that Rembrandt that somehow became popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such an obvious idea once you see it done once that, like, why not just keep running this back every year?
There's nothing that like mitigates the other on a Christmas heist movie, right? It like only amplifies it. So,
right,
a Christmas movie, I want to see that around Christmas, absolutely, or even not around Christmas. A heist movie, we've talked about this many times. Why would I never want to watch a heist movie? I always want to watch a heist movie.
Absolutely, and I just love the idea. Like Santa's always the one giving gifts out. So, like, you have this thing of Santa stealing, and it just, like, flips the whole thing on its head in a really just entertaining way.
It also takes you out of the, like, watching Prancer and Miracle on 34th Street and It's a Wonderful Life. It's just like, all right, there's only so much of those. Christmas.
Yeah, you got to balance it out.
Yeah, I also love horror and action and heist, so let's mix in Christmas with that. That's a good one. Mine isn't developed at all, but I just want to see Jackie Bangs' origin story. Why doesn't he want to go back to Vegas? Also, like Christmas theft issues in Vegas, but without snow. Like, what is the reason he doesn't want to go back to Vegas? The whole time he's just talking like, I can't go back to Vegas. It's horrible. He's living in hell. A horrible casino in the middle of awful Michigan, Nowheresville, Michigan. He hates it, but he still doesn't want to go back to Vegas. Like, what happened that he survived out there?
Yep. I would love to see that. And we also get to see, because he has all those photographs of him with all these famous people on the wall. So he clearly was a guy.
He's with
Vegas.
Dolly Parton, I think, in one of them.
I mean, she's one of the most famous people on earth.
Yeah, I didn't realize that, but she absolutely is.
Yeah. And apparently just like maybe the greatest person ever. She's just incredibly kind in all respects.
It's all very impressive. I wish I knew more about her. All right, so we got through everything. Any notes we didn't get to? I have a question for you.
Let's hear it.
I was going to ask about the big turn that you covered as your favorite, but instead I have a second question, which was, how was Charlize Theron's cigarette smoking to you? She was smoking cigarettes quite a bit in this, and you're very good at deciphering if someone is like a pro or if they're an actor, if they never smoked before. I'm just wondering what you thought about her technique.
You know, it didn't really, I didn't notice, which makes me think that she had to be pretty good.
Yeah, that's like, she's like a ref, right? Like if you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the idea of calling someone a convict when you're holding them hostage.
Yeah, I thought that Gary Sinise always calling him a convict was a great touch. And I kind of imagined that he came up with that. Like that seems like such a Gary Sinise thing.
Yeah, I'm doing this, but you're still below me because I'm a trucker and of you. I really enjoy. My bolo was Ben Affleck's faces, and mainly it came from when he was supposed to shiver, apparently, and got out of the water, and for like 10 minutes of the movie, he wasn't wet at all. You're just like, keep shivering. Just kept shivering every scene. Like that.
They like ran out. The budget ran out for the water that
Can we
day.
just spray him with a hose so we didn't know why he's cold? He seems very warm right now.
I also had a note when they're drawing up the plan and it's on notebook paper. Whatever you're doing, if it's on notebook paper, it just looks like the work of an insane person.
Yes, correct.
There's just, you can't ever do anything important on notebook paper.
You get a graph paper, something with some actual
Right?
lines? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of the 3 bound subjects in there. Like,
Yeah.
and then there's like history and math after it. Let's see. I got breast implant tongue story. That sounds pretty interesting, but we only heard a little bit of it.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more. That could be a spinoff right there.
The kid with the breast implant tongue. I like the idea of like if Charlize Theron's character was actually just like writing out of innocence to like meet a guy, and then like Ben Affleck shows up. You're like, wow, I hit the lottery. Like,
Oh, yeah.
can you imagine you writing just like general penitentiaries and Ben Affleck shows up? You're like, oh, well, I mean, I think I'm definitely in love. That's as good as it could ever be.
Yep. And vice versa. You're in prison. You're looking for a pen pal. You will literally accept anybody. And Charlize Theron shows up when you're getting out of jail. I mean, it's like it's probably already one of the greatest days of your life. You have freedom again, and then this incredibly gorgeous woman shows up to take you home. And
Yeah, but at least he knew what she looked like. She was supposedly under the idea that she had no idea who he was. But you're right. Obviously, like walking out the Charlize Theron, you're like, that makes sense why you want to get into a relationship. What else do I got here? Last one. Well, the monsters. Like that monster in the beginning meant like the monster of Gabriel and his truck. The monsters were the roaches. Whatever.
yeah.
I also, I think Samson Simpson was hilarious to me. I just couldn't stop thinking, like, you can be the entire time.
Let's see if I had anything else. The ice, the Affleck scene. But is there anything? I think that falling under the ice and like not being able to get out is maybe the worst possible thing on Earth.
Would you rather fall under ice and not be able to get out, or be eaten by something?
I say eaten because I feel like then I'm at least like fighting this thing, and like I feel like I'm doing something. Ice, you're under there, and you're just like, this is totally futile. Like I have no chance of getting out, and you just know you're going to go. I think it's definitely less painful to go under ice. You just probably like drown or whatever. It's cold, and I'm sure being like torn to shreds is incredibly painful.
Right.
But there's just something about being trapped under ice that I can't shake that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to like, just because it's not as bad possibly as being eaten alive doesn't mean it's not horrific.
Yeah, I mean, definitely getting eaten alive is worse. But I'm still going with going under ice.
Yeah, I mean, I did also enjoy, like, he barely even likes her. Like, 10 minutes later, he's like, oh, F her. And he just, like, without thinking, when he has a chance to get away, and this is the reason he's in this, is this lady, this girl who just won't leave him alone, he jumps in after her to get her out of there. That's nuts.
Bananas. Absolutely bananas.
But I did like, I'm not sure I've ever seen a scene before where like a shotgun is underneath and like shooting through the ice to break it up. I thought it was a cool scene.
Yeah, all around, just well done.
That's all I got. This is definitely a staple in my in our family's Christmas movie watching for sure. I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it's this and Ernest Saves Christmas.
Have you watched that yet this season?
I haven't. I'm saving it. So, up next, what do we have?
Next is not quite as cold, but much darker. We have Daylight next, a Sylvester Stallone movie that I remember the day I watched, and I don't think you said you haven't seen this before.
I have not seen it, so this has been on my queue to watch for like 5 years, and just somehow I've never done it.
I think Stallone, after all of our movies, is like maybe my favorite actor of all time. So I'm super excited to rewatch this again. I can't wait. So Daylight next time. Yeah,
I'm psyched to watch this. We were just talking about this before, that there's also this new Sly documentary on Netflix that's supposed to be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to digging to that as well. That'll go great with this with Daylight.
watch some Sly, and then watch our next episode. Sounds great. All right, this was a blast, and we'll see you next time. Later.
Later.